For centuries, there's been this huge mystery right in the heart of the Quran, in Surah Al-Kahf. It's about this powerful figure, a great king known as Dulcarnain. Now, who was he? People have guessed everyone from Alexander the Great to Cyrus the Great. But what if we've all been looking in the wrong place? What if the answer isn't buried in some dusty history book, but was hidden in the Quran itself this whole time, just waiting to be unlocked?
So yeah, who was this guy? The Quran tells us about his epic journeys to the very ends of the earth. But the details, well, they've had scholars scratching their heads for generations. Are we talking about a real historical account, an allegory, or is it something else entirely?
Okay, so where do we even begin to look for the answer? Well, according to Dr. Hani from the Marvelous Quran YouTube channel, we've all been looking in completely the wrong direction. He says the answer is definitive, and you find it by using a really unique method. You have to let the Quran decipher itself, using its own internal logic.
Dr. Haney's whole argument is that the key lies in what he calls the Quran's Abrahamic locution. Now, that's just a way of saying that the Quran has its own precise technical language, where words have very specific meanings that apply only within the scripture. So the goal isn't to match the story to some event in world history. It's to decode the text's own internal language first.
So, if we're going to trace Dulcarnain's journey, we've got to speak the Quran's language. Dr. Hani points out that 3 critical words in this story have been totally misunderstood for centuries. And once you redefine them, well, everything changes. Let's start with his name, Dulcarnain. The word Karn here doesn't mean horn or century like you might have heard. Dr. Hani's analysis shows it means a familial lineage, like your ancestry going upwards. So Dulcarnain isn't the 2-horned one. It means the one of the 2 specific lineages. Right off the bat, that's a massive clue. We're looking for someone with a known important dual ancestry.
And then you've got that famous setting place of the sun. The phrase Anghamia is almost always translated as a muddy spring. But using this Quranic code, it's not a physical place at all. It actually describes a social environment, a location that is the fountainhead of hostile and poisonous stalkers. All of a sudden, we're not talking about a spot on a map, we're talking about a community defined by its intense, toxic opposition.
And this last term is maybe the most important key of all. The phrase amala salihan, we all know it as doing good deeds, but in this specific Quranic language, it has a very technical meaning. The act of working to unlock the scripture's terminology. I mean, think about that for a second. The story itself is telling us that the good deed is to engage with the text on this exact methodological level. It's wild.
So once you plug in these new definitions, the whole story just transforms. It stops being some ancient travelogue. Instead, as Dr. Haney shows, it becomes a prophetic blueprint, a divine map that lays out the entire life and mission of a messenger of God.
And here's what that map looks like. Each stage of the journey is actually a phase of a divine mission. The sunrise isn't a time of day, it's the start of the mission. The sunset? That's the hostile end location we just talked about. Then there's a victorious return home and a final campaign to protect his new followers. You see? This isn't a road trip, it's a blueprint for a life's work.
So the billion-dollar question becomes, whose life fits this map? Who is this messenger? Well, it turns out this divine blueprint aligns, with stunning precision, to the life of one of the most important figures in all of human history. Every single stage has a direct, undeniable parallel.
And here it is. Dr. Hani reveals that Dulcarnain was none other than Prophet Muhammad himself. The entire story in Surah Al-Kahf, it wasn't about some ancient king from the past. It was a prophecy and a detailed roadmap for the Prophet's own mission, revealed to him at the very beginning of his journey.
Now, I know what you're thinking. That is a huge claim. So where's the proof? Well, Dr. Hani says the evidence has been embedded in the Quranic text the whole time. Clues just hiding in plain sight, waiting for this specific way of reading to bring them to light. And again, the proof is right there in the language.
Check this out. It's a tiny linguistic detail from verse 83 of the chapter. People ask the Prophet an Dulcarnain, which means about him. But God's reply is, I shall recite a report minhu. The preposition switches from an to min, and the analysis shows that min here means through or from. So the verse isn't saying a report about him, it's saying a report recited through him, meaning through the person speaking, Prophet Muhammad himself.
The importance of this find is just immense. As Dr. Hani himself said, I literally danced for half a day when I discovered this. You can feel the excitement, right? That moment of clarity when the text just opens up and reveals its own secret? And this chart just lays it all out beautifully. The prophetic map from the storylines lines up perfectly with the prophet's life. The sunrise, the start, that's his first revelation in Makkah at age 40. The sunset, that hostile final location, that was his migration, the Hijra, to Yathrib, which became Medina at 53. The victorious return is the conquest of Makkah, and the final campaign matches the expedition to Tabuk right before his mission ended in Medina. It's a flawless one-to-one match.
And you know what? This interpretation suddenly clears up old historical puzzles. Like, why did the prophet go back to Medina after conquering his hometown of Makkah? Because the prophecy, his divine roadmap, designated Medina as his mission's end location. It shows that Surah Al-Kahf was given to him early on as a plan, and it confirms that the Quran itself is the #1 source for validating the history of the prophet's life.
But hold on, because the implications of this go even deeper. This discovery completely reshapes our understanding of one of the most basic concepts in the Quran, the idea of wahi, or divine revelation.
See, we usually think of wahi as just the general act of God revealing scripture, but this discovery points to a much more specific technical meaning. Wahi is divine instruction delivered through Quranic stories. These aren't just tales for inspiration. They contain real, partial knowledge of the future. They act as special training for the messenger, and they give direct instructions on how to prepare for what's coming.
The Quran is full of the seerah of Prophet Muhammad, told in the third person. Stories like the one about Zul Karnayn aren't just about the past. They are active instructional guides for the prophet's own life, coded right into the scripture.
And that brings us to the ultimate takeaway here. The story of Dulcarnain was never just a story. It was a form of wahi. It was a divine roadmap handed to Prophet Muhammad to guide him step by step through the incredible mission that was laid out before him. What we all thought was a mystery about the past was actually a crystal clear prophecy for his future. And that just leaves us with one final mind-blowing thought. If the prophet's own life is encoded in the Quran like this, told as a story in the third person, it makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other secrets, what other roadmaps, and layers of guidance are still waiting in there, ready to be unlocked?